Hello and welcome back to the FICUS YouTube channel. In this video, let's unpack punctuations, which are quite confusing for most people. In this video, we will look at different ways we use commas, but we have two more videos lined up on when and how to use colons and semicolons. Let's start with the easiest rule, which I'm sure all of us know. We use commas to separate items in a list. Let's look at some examples. I have a red, a blue, and a green shirt. You notice how the different items are separated by the commas? Let's look at another example. I bought apples, oranges, bananas, and grapes from the store. The next rule. We use commas to indicate a pause. Example, I'm not sure if I should, but I'll give it a try. You notice the commas help to convey a pause or break in the speaker's dialogue. Let's look at another example. She thought about it for a moment, then decided to accept the offer. The next rule. We use commas before a conjunction that joins two independent clauses. Now, before getting into the examples, let's break down some terms here in this rule for clarity. Conjunctions are words like but, and, or, nor, for, so, yet. Conjunctions or conjunct means to join. Independent clauses are a group of words that has their own meaning and can stand alone by itself. Now let's look at some examples to understand the concept better. She studied hard, but she didn't pass the exam. You notice that the comma comes before the conjunction but. It joins the two sentences together. She studied hard is the first independent clause in the sentence. She didn't pass the exam is the second independent clause. The conjunction joins these two independent clauses together. And the comma comes before the conjunction. Let's look at another example to make things clearer. They decided to go for a walk and they enjoyed the beautiful weather. Please take some time to understand the first independent clause, the second independent clause, and the conjunction. Yeah, you guessed it right. They decided to go for a walk is the first independent clause. They enjoyed the beautiful weather is the second independent clause. You notice that these two independent clauses can stand by themselves. They have their own meaning. The conjunction joins these two independent clauses together, and the rule is the comma comes before the conjunction. Let's look at another example. He wanted to travel the world, but his job kept him tied to the desk. He wanted to travel the world is the first independent clause. His job kept him tied to the desk is the second independent clause. But is the conjunction, and the comma comes before the conjunction but. Let's move on to the next rule. Use a comma after introductory words, phrases, or clauses. Let's look at some examples. In the morning, I go for a jog. In the morning is an introductory statement. It sets the scene. Before an introductory statement, a comma is placed. Example, after finishing my homework, I went out with my friends. You see, the placement of the comma is after the introductory statement. Once upon a time, there was a cow named Sundari. I hope this rule is clear. Let's move on to the next rule. Use commas to set off non-essential elements, providing additional information that is not crucial to the sentence's meaning. Again, many terms to unpack here. What are non-essential elements? Non-essential elements are parts of a sentence that is not very crucial to the sentence's meaning, but they add more depth or layers to the sentence. Let's look at some examples. My friend who lives in London is coming to visit. The speaker could have just said, my friend is coming to visit. The part about who lives in London is the non-essential element of this sentence. So, to separate a non-essential element, commas are used. I hope this is clear. Let's look at another example. The movie, although lengthy, was quite entertaining. although lengthy is the non-essential element here. And to set it off and separate it, commas are used. Let's look at one more example. The car, a sleek and modern model, caught everyone's attention. I hope you understood the non-essential element here. If you've guessed a sleek and modern model, you are right. And to set off this non-essential component, a comma is used. The next rule, use commas to separate two or more adjectives that modify the same noun. Now, what are adjectives? Adjectives are describing words. They describe the noun. Let's look at a few examples. It was a dark, stormy night. Here, night is the noun. Dark and stormy are the adjectives. They describe the noun. So, to separate these two adjectives, a comma is used. Let's look at a few more examples. She wore a beautiful, elegant sari to the party. Beautiful and elegant are the adjectives, and sari is the noun. And to separate these two adjectives, a comma is used. Let's look at one more example. It was a cozy, comfortable, and inviting room. Please take a moment to identify the adjectives and the noun. Here, cozy and comfortable are the adjectives and room is the noun. So these two words describe the noun and hence they are adjectives and they are separated by a comma. Let's look at the next rule. Use commas to separate items in dates, addresses, and large numbers. This is very easy to understand, but let's look at an example. The meeting is on December 5th, 2023 in New York. See, you understand that the date, the year, and the place is separated by a comma. Let's look at the last and final rule. Use commas to set off dialogue tags from the actual dialogue. Now, we've seen this in many places. We've read it in books where the dialogue tag is separated from the actual dialogue with a comma. Let's look at two examples. She said, I'll be there in a minute. Now, she said is the dialogue tag. I'll be there in a minute is the actual dialogue and it is separated by a comma. I hope this is clear. Let's look at one more example. She exclaimed, I can't believe we won. Please take a moment to identify the dialogue tag and the dialogue. If you've guessed she explained as the dialogue tag, you're right. I can't believe we won is the actual dialogue and these two are separated by a comma. I hope you found this video useful. Please stay tuned for the next two videos on colons and semicolons. Please do give us suggestions on what you want to see next or topics that you have found difficult to learn or understand. Until then, thank you so much for watching our videos. We really appreciate your support. Bye until the next video.